The Spanish slug Arion vulgaris, but formerly widely referred to as Arion lusitanicus owing to a misidentification, is an air-breathing land slug, a terrestrial pulmonate gastropod mollusk in the family Arionidae. The roundback slugs. Other vernacular names are Lusitanian slug, Iberian slug, and killer slug. It is a large, conspicuous slug, which has spread across much of Europe since the 1950s and now reached North America. It may attain high densities and be a serious horticultural and agricultural pest, and is considered an invasive species. The life cycle is annual, with adults appearing in summer and dying off before winter. The Spanish slug was identified as Arion lusitanicus when it was first reported as an invading species in France in 1956, and hence it is sometimes called the Lusitanian slug. This was a case of misidentification. In slugs, it is often impossible to find external characters that distinguish closely related species using external features, as coloration can be quite variable. And the rather plastic anatomy makes diagnostic anatomical features difficult to establish. The current consensus is that the true Arion lusitanicus is a species of the western part of the Iberian Peninsula. Examination of slugs from the Serra da Arbida Mountains in Portugal, from where it was originally described by Jules Francois Mabel in 1868, showed that the true A. lusitanicus differed from the invader in its internal anatomy, the shape of the spermatophore, and the number of chromosomes. The misidentification was first recognized in 1997 and more widely publicized in an atlas of British mollusks. Arion vulgaris was proposed as a substitute name based on a drawing of the genitalia in an 1855 work by Alfred Moquin-Tandon. However, it is debatable whether the name applies to this drawing, so one temporary solution was to use the name Arion lusitanicus opt. Non Mabel IE, as used by authors other than Mabel. Nevertheless, Arion vulgaris has increasingly been used since, and this is the proposal that has been formally submitted to the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature. It has been erroneously reported that the slug was originally introduced via vegetables from Spain. These reports are usually based on outdated information published in pre-1999 literature. The common name Spanish slug was further based on the unsubstantiated assumption that the species would not only live in Portugal, but also in Spain. Arion vulgaris seems to be rare in Spain. Another name sometimes applied is the Iberian slug. The size of the adult slug is 60,140 millimeters. The color ranges from yellow to black, but is most commonly brick red, dirty orange, or brown. The tentacles are darker. Adult A. Vulgaris may not differ in external appearance from Arion rufus, and so reliable identification requires dissection to examine the genitalia. In contrast, the juveniles of these species can be distinguished because only A. vulgaris has longitudinal bands. However, juveniles of other large Arion species, such as Arion flagellus, also have longitudinal bands. Reproductive system. The atrium is small. The adjacent part of the oviduct is dilated and muscular, with the same diameter as the atrium and containing a longitudinal ligula. This distinguishes A. vulgaris from Arionida SL, in which the oviduct is thinner and the atrium is larger and contains the ligula. Arion flagellus also has a ligula in the dilated part of the oviduct, but the ligula does not reach as far towards the atrium as in A. vulgaris. The spermatheca is spherical, its diameter twice that of the oviduct. The habitat of Arion vulgaris includes all agricultural ecosystems, as well as natural environments such as river and lake margins, forest edges, forests in valleys, or meadows. In Switzerland, it has been found up to 1,700 meters altitude. It is a serious agricultural and horticultural pest in large parts of Europe, eating a cosmopolitan range of growing plant parts as well as decaying vegetation. Opportunistically, it eats carrion, including squashed conspecifics. It is active mostly during the night and in wet weather during the day. Densities can reach 50 individuals per square meter or locally even higher. Whilst a slug can crawl several meters within a night, long-distance dispersal is believed to be on vegetables, on horticultural seedlings, and on plant debris disposed of as waste. The species has an annual life cycle with mating starting in July and eggs first laid some weeks later in late summer. Clutches are laid on the soil surface or in crevices up to 10 centimeters underground. With an average clutch size of about 70 eggs, an adult slug typically lays about 400 eggs in its lifetime. The eggs hatch from autumn to spring. Neither eggs nor slugs can survive temperatures below 3°C, so overwinter survival depends on hiding under shelters. Adults normally die off in autumn before winter frosts.